This man and his girlfriend encountered something bizarre one night. He said the following about the encounter. I have been in a long-distance relationship with my girlfriend for a couple of years, and every summer and winter break I'm able to travel to go see her. This encounter happened around 2 years ago at my girlfriend's house. I should mention that my girlfriend lives on the outskirts of her city in Mexico, where houses are around 200 to 300 yards apart and surrounded by dense woods. Usually days and nights there go about peacefully, accompanied by the sound of the woods and the occasional car passing by from others who live nearby. I had always considered her place to be perfect to spend time outdoors, until this occasion. I don't think I've ever been this scared in my life. This sighting will be carved into my mind forever. On a chilly night of December, I was at my girlfriend's house. I had planned to spend the night with her since she would have been by herself that day. Her mum was out of town and she didn't want to stay there by herself. We were having dinner in the kitchen at around 8 PM. We chatted about activities we could do tomorrow, tasks her mum asked her to do, how much we missed each other and other things. After about an hour of conversation and laughs, we decided to go into the living room and cuddle up on the couch. We both got up and put the dishes in the sink. She went into her bedroom and I went outside to the bathroom. The house layout consisted of a long corridor that connected pretty much every room in the house, and a back door at the end of the corridor which led to the patio. The patio was open, and as you looked out you could see the trees, plants and woodland. Before the woods was a fence that was made up of stones and barbed wire that stood around 1 meter tall. Halfway down the patio there was a bathroom being lit by a single and weak light bulb, so if anybody wanted to go they had to walk outside, even if it was in the middle of the night. I thought to myself that I'm not coming here at night. I remember when I opened the back door and stepped into the patio. A cold breeze stroked my face and sent shivers across my back, so I hurried to go back as quickly as possible because, to be honest, I was a little spooked out going outside in the darkness, especially knowing that the woods were pretty much only a few steps away. I finished doing my business, washed my hands and started walking back, being careful not to trip on something because the light bulb was almost non-existent. I was about halfway when I heard a noise to my left, like someone stepped on a branch and broke it. I stopped and quickly turned, trying to see what made the noise, but I could only see a portion of the fence, and nothing but darkness beyond it. However, I had this weird feeling that someone or something was watching me, something on the other side of the fence. I stood there in silence for around 30 seconds, listening to the surroundings only to notice the crickets had stopped chirping. I got a bit freaked out because I know for sure they were chirping when I first went out. I was somewhat scared to move, but did anyways, almost running to get inside as soon as possible. When I returned I went to my girlfriend who was already in the living room. She noticed that I was a bit agitated and asked me what was wrong. I jokingly said that your patio is scary, not wanting to tell her what I felt because she hates anything that has to do with horror or scary stuff. I decided to brush it off, so I went around the couch and sat on the other end, putting my girlfriend's legs on my lap and asking her what she was watching on the TV. I turned to my right and noticed there was a huge window on one side of the wall, and this gave me the perfect view of the patio. I didn't see it before because it was next to a cabinet that was being covered on the wall next to the living room. Now that I knew about it, I kept turning to see outside, still thinking how scary it looked. As we were watching a documentary, I took off my girlfriend's socks and started to rub her feet. We didn't have much conversation and I started to get sleepy, but after around 20 minutes I started hearing noises outside, noises that seemed to be coming from the patio. I grabbed the controller and muted the TV to make sure I was hearing right, and I was. It sounded like tiny twigs breaking and grass being brushed. I quickly turned to my right to see outside the window, but I could only see the plants and part of a big trunk from a big tree. The noises, although faint, stopped for a few seconds, then resumed a few minutes later and then stopped again. I stood frozen watching outside the window, almost as if waiting for something to happen. I whispered to my girlfriend, "What is that noise?" But after no answer, I'd realised she'd fallen asleep. I was a bit freaked out, but I chose to believe it was probably a wild animal that lurks around in the woods at night. I kept watching the TV muted, waiting for the noise to start again, but after a while I'd realised it had stopped. I turned around one more time to see outside the window, and I felt my heart sink in my stomach. The first thing I noticed when I looked outside was a faint image of a grey pale tall humanoid. This thing was peeking from the side of the big tree trunk and staring right at me. I suddenly froze in fear, not wanting to even slightly move or breathe. I watched this thing as it watched me, even though I couldn't see its eyes because of the poor lighting, but I knew it was watching me. The creature was really pale and I could see the contrast between its skin and the bark of the tree. The creature was very thin, had really skinny shoulders and torso as well as an elongated neck. It looked to be around 6 or 7 feet tall. At this moment though, I couldn't distinguish in detail any facial features. This is because of how dark it was. I could picture in my head the shadowy areas where the eyes would have been for a person, and also where the mouth would have been. At this point I started to get worried, and I wanted to let my girlfriend know what I was seeing, but I didn't want to move a muscle or break eye contact with this thing. I felt like I needed to remain still or play dead to lose its attention, but the creature kept staring at me, not moving an inch like it was trying to do the same. Then to make matters worse, the creature started to make an echoey clicking sound, kind of like a frog but slower. I noticed it began to turn its head to its left side, and turn back to look at me really fast. I didn't know what to think anymore. All I wanted was my girlfriend to wake up and prove to me that this thing was real. I began whispering her name in between my teeth and mouth, not wanting to move my jaw, but she didn't wake up and the thing kept doing the same, turning its head to the left and then back at me really fast. The creature crouched kind of like when big predator cats are hunting. I couldn't believe what was happening. I didn't even think that if I woke my girlfriend up she would start moving, and that thing would notice both of us, but I was so scared that I kept trying. This went on for around 15 minutes before I realised I had my girlfriend's foot in my hand below the blanket, so this thing was not able to see me moving. Only using my wrist I slightly pulled her foot back and forth, whispering her name again and again, but I had no response. Then I stood in shock when I saw the creature stand up again, and started walking backwards, still looking at me and disappearing into the darkness of the patio while doing the clicking sounds. My eyes started to itch from staring at the creature the whole time. For some reason I couldn't turn my head around. I kept looking in the direction where the creature disappeared, listening for sounds and waiting for it to appear once again. A few minutes passed and I took the chance to turn around. Slowly I turned my head to my girlfriend and started to call her name. She then began to wake up. I stood up to her shoulders and told her to wake up. She opened her eyes and squinted at me, adjusting to the light of the TV. I kept telling her to remain still and silent, and that's when the sounds started again. She looked at me and noticed the concerns in my eyes, and asked me what was wrong. I could see that she was going to freak out. The clicking sounds continued, but this time they was louder. This time both of us heard the noise, and we stood looking at each other in silence, getting more and more scared. My girlfriend asked me, "What is that?" However, I didn't answer as I wanted to remain quiet. Again I started to turn my head to the window to check, but this time the creature was outside the window only a couple of feet away. This time I had a clearer vision of how it looked. It was then that I noticed it didn't have a mouth where a person would have. Instead, the mouth was on its neck, which opened horizontally. As its mouth opened, it vibrated with the clicking sounds. It had oval-shaped eyes that were as dark as night. I started shaking and breathing faster, not believing what I was seeing. My girlfriend peeked by my side to see what I was looking at, and I instantly felt her body tense up under me. She asked me in a trembling voice, "What is that thing?" But no answer came out of me. Now we were both scared to even move a muscle. After the humanoid noticed my girlfriend move, it gave a step towards and lowered its head, almost as if it was scanning us. We jumped in fear after seeing this thing doing it because we thought it was coming towards us. My heart was pounding so fast I thought I'd faint any time. Then the thing began to walk slowly to its right side. However, this was in the direction of where the corridor was. After we lost sight of it through the window, we both sat up and looked at each other, when suddenly we heard something scratch the metal door that led to the corridor. Without thinking twice, I grabbed my girlfriend's wrist and jolted out the living room, and locked ourselves in her bedroom. We sat on the floor hiding in case this thing got inside. The scratching sounds continued and my girlfriend started to sob. I felt powerless knowing I couldn't do much to reassure her. I could only hold her and hope that this thing would leave. The noise continued for around 3 minutes when it suddenly stopped. Then we began hearing footstep noises all around the house, so we kept turning to whatever direction we heard the noises coming from. Eventually the noises stopped, and after an hour or so we figured the creature had left. We slowly crawled into bed and tried to make no noise. The next day we didn't even want to touch on the subject. All we said was that this creature was not from our world. My girlfriend said she felt the creature's gaze pierce into her soul. Nothing else was said and we were left traumatized. Days after the encounter we both suffered from nightmares. She mentioned that sometimes she woke up in the middle of the night screaming and trembling, and wouldn't be able to stop until her mum went in to check on her. The fences that separated the patio and the woods have been redone since. They now stand at 2 meters tall, blocking any easy access from the woods. They haven't had any other encounters since, but my girlfriend insists that the patio gives her chills at night. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.